On today's show, I heard you. Luka Doncic has not peaked. So what's the next step for him? We'll tell you on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
You are Locked On Mavs.
Great, Rusty.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Amazing.
Your team every day.
Still can't eat milk.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. Where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day on any podcast platform. Leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, comment anything below. Let me know in the comment section. What's the next step for Luka? How does he get better? Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And joining me, the post-game prodigy, the streaming sultan. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
I love this new intro, so I gotta say, I've seen mixed opinions. I think it sounds good.
I have a theory. I think it's about the type of headphones that you listen to it on, or how you listen to it, because there are certain, like if you just listen to it on phone, it's hard to hear the horns of it, and so it just sounds like.
Okay, that could be it. Maybe it sounds good on headphones.
I have not really addressed it, but it has been brought up in comment section every single day, so I guess I'll do it now. I had to change the intro music. We changed our library that we use at Locked On. We all had to come under one roof because we are not only being streamed on YouTube. It's not just a YouTube product anymore. It is a podcast, as well as on WFAA, as well as on their Fast TV channels, on Amazon Fire, and on YouTube streaming and all that kind of stuff. And so we had to come all under one roof. So I apologize for any hurt that could bring you. We had a good run. And I should have, and to be honest, I should have changed back in April, and I refused. Like,
Yeah,
you're not making me change the Let It Ride music right in the middle of the playoffs. There's no way.
So we're on TV now.
So I fought for you guys. Yeah, we've been on WFAA for a while. Not TV there, but we're on their website. But yeah, Amazon Fire TV. Amazon Fire TV, we're there every day.
The price of the brick has gone up.
All the inflation everywhere. Today, we'll talk about the Summer League game a little bit more than we talked about the last one,
I have a lot of thoughts actually.
Which was zero. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Omax and how he looked, Melvin and Jinsa, all that kind of stuff. And but before we do that, I asked big questions about every single player yesterday. I sent the questions to Slightly, and he picked 3 of them that he really wanted to address and talk about. We'll talk about Dereck Lively. What's his ceiling? How can he avoid a sophomore slump? We'll talk about Naji Marshall. Can he replace Derrick Jones Jr.? And was his 3-point shot real last year? But let's start here, Slightly. Did Luka Doncic peak? Were you offended by the question, as some listeners were yesterday?
No, I don't think you can be offended by the question when a guy averages nearly a 34-point triple-double. Like, that's
right.
It's hard to imagine statistically somebody getting better. Luka's best season will not be his statistical best season. That's how I feel.
As was Dirk's.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Luka is going to be similar to LeBron, not in their play styles, obviously, but in the sense that there's like 3 or 4 different peaks, and it sort of depends on what you look at. Like, there's going to be a statistical peak. There might be an athletic quickness peak that he probably has already reached, but there's going to be like a peak where,
now I'm offended.
Well, I mean, it's probably true. I highly doubt we see 20-year-old in the bubble Luka again, just in terms of physical, how skinny he was and how quick he was.
I don't know. Did you see that picture of him on vacation today? He looks skinny. Skinny Luka
like
back again.
Ever. I'm done. I don't care. I don't care what stairs he runs up.
For everyone that sends me a still image of Luka, just know that Luka Doncic does not follow the normal guidelines and the normal laws of physics when it comes to photography. He can look huge. He can look skinny in any photo.
It's not even that. It's what is Luka gonna look like in February? Like Luka came into the season like. Luka changes weight mid-season. It's insane, and I'm not like knocking him, but it's just the truth. And the peak Luka is going to be the Luka who's older, maybe has a little bit of a better understanding. All right, this is what I need to do in the summer. This is what I need to do throughout the course of the season to make sure that I am in the best shape possible, to make sure I am limiting the risk of injuries. Like, injuries are going to happen regardless. Like, no matter how in shape you are or whatever, you're always subject to injury playing basketball. But I hurt my heel, guys, and I stretch every day. Like, I'm try to take care of myself. My heel, I can barely even move. So, obviously I consider myself a top end elite athlete. So it just makes sense that Luka.
I've played with you, can confirm.
Yeah, Luka is subject to injury as well. But no, it'll be, maybe it's next season. Maybe this trip to the finals and not making the Olympic qualifiers has sort of clicked something, and playing and spending a full year with a guy like Kyrie who's been around for a while now, and now having Clay on the team, somebody who's been around for a while and has been on, maybe the greatest team ever assembled. Maybe this sort of mental barrier that a lot of it's not just Luka, pretty much every single young player who enters the league has this mental barrier where they need to figure out this is how you win. This is how you need to go about handling yourself over the course of a season. And when Luka figures that out, and I mean really figures it out, because I know people are in the comments right now are going to be like, Luka's won this, Luka's already done all of this. Yes, I know. Luka's an incredible player. He's, in my opinion, the best player in the world. But there is a mental roadblock that every great had to pass at some point. And for Luka, it could come as soon as this year, and that's when he will be at his peak.
Yeah, we saw it with Dirk when Dirk had to leave he had to leave the United States and go to Australia after the 2007 and just find himself, right? And I think he came back and found himself in a different way. And you have to hit those sort of, and now it doesn't have to be as dark and as destitute as that. But I think we hit some of that last season when the Mavs missed the postseason, and then Luka hired personal trainer, personal chef, all that kind of stuff. And he did come in better shape, and the injuries just really got to him last season. And so I think that the peak Luka, when we have this recency bias of he did not look that good in the playoffs. He didn't look like peak Luka all throughout the playoffs. And so, okay, of course he hasn't hit his peak. But regular season Luka, he gave us some great stuff. I mean, he was third in MVP. Like you mentioned, his counting stats, 34 points, 9 boards, almost 10 assists. Only 4 turnovers with the ball as much as he had it. His best shooting season on 3-point and free throw in general. Like, even if that is peak Luka and we've hit it, like, give me that one again. Just make sure he's healthy going into the playoffs next year.
Yeah, that was the best Luka regular season that we've seen. I think pretty,
for sure.
I wouldn't say comfortably, but it definitely was. And yeah, his postseason was just, limited by injuries. Anybody who watched Luka all season long could realize that. Just go watch Luka from January and December. It was not the Luka you saw in April, but he still managed. And you kind of got a glimpse of what I was saying, especially towards in that Minnesota and the end of that Thunder series and in the Minnesota series, where he was managing. He knew he didn't. He wasn't 100%, and he was managing. He was figuring out ways to win basketball games. That is the peak Luka, the mentality like that. Now, if you could combine that with, better health, it's and also playing alongside Kyrie Irving for another season, and now having Klay Thompson, like hopefully less and less and less will be asked of Luka moving forward, and now he can really sort of focus on being close to 100% entering a postseason. But let's not forget the Western Conference Finals run a couple years ago. He had the calf injury and missed the first 3 games of the playoffs. So it's been a while since we've seen like a fully healthy Luka in the playoffs.
We saw peak scoring Luka last year. He also got 9.8 assists, which was peak, of his assists. But is this year the year where we see peak passing Luka? Because you do have Kyrie. You bring in Klay Thompson. You've got 2 lob threats. You've got, we'll talk about Najee. We'll talk about Grimes. They're better shooters than some of the guys the Mavs lost. Is this where we see Luka hit double-digit assists this year?
Luka could definitely lead the league in assists this year. It's definitely possible. I mean, Halliburton will be pushing like 12 probably. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think Luka's going to get to that number. That would be kind of crazy. But 10, I think, is definitely I could see maybe 29 points a game, 10 and a half assists or something.
Is that good?
I think so. I think a lower scoring Luka, assuming that he remains efficient, is probably good overall.
That's the next step for Luka, can he be healthy going into the playoffs? Can he do that? Can he take you got to get more wins in the regular season? And I think getting that is, can he be better, more of a passer, get guys more involved? It's the Donnie Nelson thing that he said going out the door that we all kind of scoffed at. But yeah, can he get guys more involved? Can he do that? And now he has the most tools he's ever had, or the most weapons on the wings and in the trenches that he's ever had. So I think we'll see that. I'm curious to see about his shooting percentages and all that. But coming up, let's talk about Naji Marshall. Can he replace Derrick Jones Jr.? The knife. I think he can. We'll tell you why. Coming up.
You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and you can go and see anything that's happening in Dallas or wherever you are. But I'm just going to use Dallas because that's where I am. That's where Slightly is. And that's where we go to events. like Texas Rangers against the Baltimore Orioles. Friday, starting price $17 just to get in the door. $20. What is that like? How much of a rack is that? Like 0.5 of that. Also, Saints at Cowboys on what was that, September? $37 to start. I know the Cowboys, everybody's down on the Cowboys right now. Oh, Nikki Glazer coming in November. If you want to go see comedy, go see that. She's coming to Texas Trust Theater. $57 to go see Nikki Glazer in November. That seems good. I might get tickets to go see that. The next time Caitlin Clark comes and plays the Dallas Wings, those tickets are starting at $167. That's on a Sunday in September. So you can go check that out. See what else is available for you. Go check out Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account. Use that code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. That Rangers game could be free. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for checking out the show and being here all the time. We have a daily 24/7 stream for Locked On Sports Dallas that we are on, that's on Amazon Fire TV, and that's why we can't have the old intro music. I apologize to everyone whose feelings I have hurt. It was not my decision, obviously. All right, Slightly. Naji Marshall. Can he replace Derrick Jones Jr.'s hustle and defense 1-to-1? Can the knife come in? Is he the one that we can finally say is going to replace and maybe improve because maybe his three-point shot is the same as last season? Is that real?
1-to-1. I don't know 1-to-1. You know what's funny how the brain works is if the Mavericks didn't get Clay, let's just say they lost Derrick Jones Jr., but then they replaced him with Naji Marshall.
Yeah.
I think I'd be very excited. Like I would be like, I think they upgraded there. I do. I like the more I've sat down and I thought about it, I think that they have upgraded there. It's only the inclusion of Clay where apparently according to Shams, he's like almost guaranteed a starter spot where I'm like, okay, now there's like questions about who's defending who in a starting lineup. But if you just replace Naji Marshall and put him in there, then I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I think the Mavericks got better on paper. But I'm saying all that to say, the more I thought about the Mavs offseason, I think they've improved actually tremendously, to be completely and totally honest.
He's on.
And I think that Naji Marshall, just looking at his numbers, nearly 39% from three last year. That is 50 percentage point or 0.5 percentage points higher than any other season in his career. So maybe there's a tiny downturn next year, but also at the same time, this will be the best playmaker he's ever played with by a million miles. Like CJ McCollum was his point guard last year.
I mean, Zion is probably the best playmaker that he's played.
Yeah, Zion is genuinely probably the best playmaker he's ever played alongside. There might have been one Lonzo year there for him, but I don't know. Right. I don't remember the overlap, but Luka will be the best playmaker he's ever played alongside with. And Kyrie Irving, honest to God, could be the second best. Like it's possible.
Fair. And
like the playmaking options for the Pelicans has been so dire. Like Dereck Lively in the short roll is not like a distant fifth or sixth.
It's Naji. Oh, here, this is how you got to do it. Naji Marshall is about to play with the three best playmakers he's ever played with in his career. How could he not be better?
There you go. That might just do it. So yeah, I think that his shooting, if it's around 38 to 39%, you gladly take that because it feels a little bit more reliable. And then he also has all the other things he can do offensively where he can legitimately bring the ball up and you don't feel like terrible about it. He can attack closeouts and finish. He can play make. He's a really solid, underrated playmaker. And yeah, he hustles. He's a dog defensively, physical at the point of attack, handsy. It's just he gets handsy with you. He just does. He's not shy. So I really do like this signing quite a bit. And the more I've thought about it, I really think the Mavericks got a lot better because they're just much more versatile now in what they can do. If they need defense, they have it. If they need shooting, they have it. And theoretically, they have guys who can do both now at the same time. And Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes, hopefully. And hopefully Clay defensively is not so washed to the point where it's like, oh, well, he's a negative defender.
And if he is, I think you can bench him. And I think that you can put Naji Marshall in there, and then you get your 1-to-1 replacement for Derrick Jones Jr., right? If it comes down to that, if the Mavs realize, hey, we can now, it'll be an issue for Jason Kidd to figure out. how to deal with the ego of Klay Thompson and sitting him and or benching him and all that kind of stuff. He'll still get his minutes too. Like he'll get all the Tim Hardaway minutes. He'll get all the, the extra minutes that we saw go to different guys. But yeah, I really do like Naji Marshall coming in. My big question for him was the shot real last year? Because we saw him shoot 38%. But before that, he shot like 20% one year, 30% another, 34. Like say, it's just like all up and down. But he's coming into the Mavericks at a better point than where Derrick Jones Jr. came in with his shot. That's been my whole thing with him. Derrick Jones Jr. had never taken more than 2.3 attempts per game. He took 3.1 with the Mavericks. This is just a regular season. And he had never shot better than 33%. He shot 34%. So he had his best 3-point shooting season with the Mavericks. And that's not abnormal for a player to come in and have their best 3-point shooting season with the Mavericks, because he's going to be playing with the three best playmakers he's played with in his career. And so, yeah, I'm excited about Naji Marshall. I think that one is one that he can come in and replace. And as soon as he signed, a bunch of media people went, "Oh my gosh, I love that signing," because he's sort of one of those players that a bunch of people latch onto. But yeah, there is that weird thing with his minutes versus Klay's minutes, and where are we going to be with that? And that's something for Kid to figure out, and that's fine. The Mavs upgraded in talent.
Well, and here's the thing too about Derrick Jones Jr. A way you can look at it is this time a year ago, Derrick Jones Jr. offensively was just a complete and total prayer. Basically, we were just hoping. Sometimes, yeah, we were hoping that Luka could maybe tap into some stuff as a playmaker for Derrick Jones Jr., and it happened. And think about it like this. Derrick Jones Jr. was such a huge piece for the Mavericks this past season. He was a vet minimum guy signed towards the tail end of free agency last year. Like that's where he was. Naji Marshall, I'm assuming, was one of the most coveted mid-level guys, and the Mavericks got day one of free agency and paying him, $10+ million a year. So if you look at it that way, the expectations, I think, are higher. And I think that, Naji Marshall is coming into the Mavericks as a better player with more of a track record than Derrick Jones Jr. was at this time a year ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of having a track record now, coming in as a better player than he was when he came in, Dereck Lively II. He was at the Summer League game today. He had a weird interview with Kendra Andrew.
It was strange. he seems like locked in.
Oh, he is the most locked in. He also was signing things and taking pictures with kids, and there was a kid that got stuck on a like one of the seats, and he picked the kid up and carried him over the seat, and it was like, he's the best, man.
He is.
Dereck Lively, my big question about him was, what's the ceiling and how can he avoid a sophomore slump?
So I don't know what a sophomore slump would look like for Dereck Lively. I still don't understand.
My example was Kessler, because you look at Kessler in the first year, we're like, oh my God, they killed that pick. And then now he's playing Summer League.
The Kessler stuff remains completely and totally just stupefying to me. I cannot figure it out. It really is as simple as who's creating for Walker Kessler in Utah. It's Colin Sexton, it's former rookie Keontae George, compared to, and I'd be interested to look at the numbers of what Walker Kessler looked like pre-Mike Conley trade, his rookie season, versus every other year, the rest of his career. I just can't imagine a rim running center who is very good at being a rim running center ever falling off next to Luka. And I have a different feeling with Dereck Lively. I just do. There's just something about him, how quick he learned as a rookie, how ready he was for the moment in the playoffs, in matchups that really shouldn't have been that advantageous for him. Like the Thunder matchup was kind of a spooky one on paper for him, and he dominated it.
Yeah. Yep.
He was very good in it. The Celtics, again, weren't supposed to be a great matchup for him, and obviously the Mavs got dominated in that series, but Lively's minutes were real legitimate bright spots. So what's his ceiling? They say defensive player of the year. Isn't that what they said?
The Mavs, from Tim McMahon, the report was that the Mavs consider him to be a defensive anchor like Kevin Garnett or Joakim Noah.
Okay, I mean, those are two of the better defenders
of their
defensive
generation.
Players
of the year, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, maybe in a vacuum, Dereck Lively has the skills to be a defensive player of the year. I just think there's going to be a lot of guys who we look back after Victor Wembanyama retires, like, well, that guy, any other era, is probably winning a few defensive player of the years. All defense, sure.
Yeah, like positionless now.
Yeah, true. True. There was, I think, 4 bigs on the first team, all defense last year. I just hope that the Mavs don't make this mistake. We're like, well, we have Dereck Lively. Like, he'll clean up all of our problems. We don't have to worry about defense anymore.
It's the Rudy Gobert problem.
Yes. So I I cannot wait to see what Dereck Lively has in store. The beautiful thing about him is it says here Lively ceiling ? I have no idea. That's what's exciting and fun. I actually don't know anymore. You could tell me a lot of things and I'd believe you.
He still could add a 3-point shot.
He said that today. He said, if I need to shoot a couple threes a game, I'll do it. And it's just like, all right.
Kendra Andrews was like, what's the thing in your game that you want to add? He's like, well, there's a lot of questions about me and my career. And you're like, oh, there is. I was asking him yesterday.
His just approach is really special. And anytime he has an interview and then like somebody who's not maybe that used to Dereck Lively always is like, wow, I cannot believe how like good his answers are. Like he just understands his role so well. And man, I think he's going to be a problem next year, especially with Clay's shooting next to him. That's going to be a joy to watch.
I came away from Media Day last year. Like, if he doesn't work, then I don't know.
Yeah. There's just, hey, that's sometimes how it is. Like, you just watch somebody like that guy has it. I don't know what it is, but he'll be a pro.
I did watch it, and I'm still not sure with any of the players in the Mavericks Summer League roster.
Oh, I watched it, and I'm pretty sure.
but we're sure about one thing. We'll tell you what that is.
I don't believe you shouldn't be here. Shut it down! Let's go home!
Playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
That's right.
Is that Dudley?
All right, Slightly. Let's talk about this Mavs Summer League team. They're 0-3 now. They lost 79-92. We did not talk about the last game against the Grizzlies because they had over 30 turnovers, or they had 27 turnovers. Just looked absolutely terrible. Could not get the ball over the half court line, and there was nothing to take away from that game, in my opinion.
No.
This game, definitely a better one.
Yeah.
Stayed in this game. There was some good stuff. There were some things to take away from this. They weren't playing against multiple NBA rotation players, although Kel'el Ware looks really, really good, and I think he's going to play for the Heat this year. So he showed some good stuff. But let's start with Omax. Omax Prosper, 3 of 12, missed all 4 of his threes. Got to the free throw line a couple times again. 11 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, couple turnovers. Your takeaways from Omax Prosper.
So, man, Summer League doesn't tell you everything, but it doesn't tell you nothing. So you want to be careful with whatever your takeaway is at Summer League games, right? Especially in a context like this, where Omax is a guy who really they've hyped him up as, he kind of looks like Pascal Siakam. I really wish Jared Dudley would stop talking sometimes, but he's not a guy who realistically you ever think is going to be like an offensive initiator for you. And they're kind of wanting him to do stuff like that. And that's fine, because this is a time to develop guys. And he doesn't really, especially with Brandon Williams not playing in this game, like there wasn't really a playmaking guard for the Mavs out there. I'm waiting to see something from Omax, and I'm not seeing it. I just have to be honest with you. We watched this game. Kel'el Ware looks like an NBA player. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
I don't remember where in the draft he was, late teens. He looks like an NBA player. Like I watch him out there. He looks better than pretty much everybody else on the court. And that's usually what you want to see. And that's usually a telltale sign. Like, okay, just the way this guy looks out on the floor looks better than everybody else. That's not how Omax has looked in Summer League. It just isn't. He still looks slow sometimes. He still looks kind of like a chicken with its head cut off on the floor. And I'm really hopeful for him. I am, but we're reaching a point now where I need to start seeing stuff before I'm like penciling in Omax as this, and that. Which is sad because a week ago I was like, yeah, I feel pretty good about Omax, but the Summer League has not been good for him. It just has not.
Yeah, it's been tough. We've seen some flashes. You've seen a couple of post moves. You've seen a couple of, take the ball and finish. You've seen it. But the thing that I wanted to see was defense. And I wanted to see him because one of the things that I loved about him was I asked him about, Jared Dudley said he wants to put you on the best perimeter player on the other team. He goes, I want that. That's what I want. I want to take that assignment. I want to lock those guys down. I don't know that we've seen him really locked down. Like you said, it's frantic at times. The game still has not slowed down for him that much. And I think some of there's some strength concerns too with him. If he's going to be that level of a defender, you've got to be strong, and stand your ground at times. Again, it's Summer League. This is a really bad context to see Omax, especially a player like him who's like a complimentary defender. But we have not seen like great flashes, like you said. where you go, okay, this guy is going to be a starter like maybe next year. Like we did see some of that with Lively where you go, okay, I can see some of the stuff with him. You can see where he can be really good. Obviously, this is not a good context for him with no guards last year either, except for Jaden Hardy. But yeah, same kind of thing. Who has stood out to you though? Because to me, Jaz Gortman, who stepped in for Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams didn't play. He was the best. He was the best guy in the Mavericks the last 2 games. But Jaz Gortman showed himself off the bench the first 2 games. Came in, started, hit a couple of threes, 19 points, 3 assists, a couple of steals, had some turnovers. But yeah, as a guard that played for the Ignite last year, he's got something.
Yeah, Jaz Gortman, a little shifty. You had some nice moves, some nice finishes. Yeah, I kind of liked what I saw from him. And the Mavs Summer League team is never, ever good. I'll give them this. They fought hard today. I don't think...
Hey. That Orlando Mavericks Summer League team, was it 2017 with Ying Ding Yang, won the whole thing.
That's right.
That was the best Mavs Summer League team we ever had.
I wonder what our record is since then. It feels like it might be like 2-30. Like, I swear to God, we don't win ever. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm just going to be brutally honest. On this Mavs Summer League team, I don't know if I see an NBA rotation player on it. And again, the context is so weird. I wonder, I've been watching Summer League games, and some of these really bad teams, I think to myself, there has to be some sort of older, sort of playmaking focused point guard out there that's, for whatever reason, didn't work in the NBA and is looking for a job. Would it not
Emmanuel Mudiay, come on down.
Somebody like that, or I don't know who else there is out there.
Isaiah Thomas, either one of them. Come on down.
I feel like Isaiah Thomas would be too focused on trying to score, but just like
do you know
set up our?
Do you know he worked out for the Suns today? Do you know that?
I saw the Suns and the Bucks. I thought was both of them. I saw John Wall's working out for teams again.
John Wall, come on down. He said he'll do anything to come back in the NBA. Come on down, John Wall.
But like, is there a role maybe where a team's like, hey, look, we just want you to set up some of our young guys, like to make their lives easier in Summer League? I get that it's a developmental thing, and when else is Omax going to get a chance to be like, hey, Omax, initiate the offense here and let's see what you got? But it is just AJ Lawson, who, hit some shots today. I didn't think he was terrible today.
But AJ Lawson, run 3 or 4 pick and rolls a quarter.
Hey, Omax was checking Khalil Ware a few times. Like, you see the glimpses of the defensive versatility there. But like you said, he was too small and too weak against Khalil Ware, which is alarming because that's a rookie center who hasn't even played an NBA game yet. I feel like maybe these delusions of grandeur of like, hey, Omax could be Siakam one day. Maybe it's just like, can we get Omax to a point where he's maybe a 4, he gets a little bit stronger, focuses on more post-related things, and maybe there's a chance that in certain, contexts, he can be a small ball 5 or something. Like, maybe we get to there where he can be the 8th or 9th guy.
Yeah, well, I always saw him as more of a point of attack guy than like a Pete. He's more of a Derrick Jones Jr. than a PJ Washington.
I know, but it just hasn't. I haven't seen that. It makes me sad. I want him to work out, but I was hoping that I would see something more at this point. And when you're year 2, especially because he didn't come into the league at 19. How old is Omax? He's 22, right?
22, yeah.
You kind of want to see a little bit more from those guys. Like those,
he was kind of a late bloomer though, because he transferred. Didn't he transfer?
I'm not giving up on him.
He played. No, I'm not giving up on him either. It's just, what are we thinking about him this year? It's probably he's not gonna play. He's not gonna play. It may look exactly the same as last year because this Mavericks team is pretty deep now. We just talked about a couple of guys that can start and do a bunch of stuff, and they have a glut at that position, which is awesome. Great. They have to figure out minutes. Like Jason Kidd is going to have a minutes problem on his hands.
That is the good news, is that the Mavs aren't in any real position to be relying on Omax. That wasn't even the case last summer. Like last summer, it was like, is Omax going to play for? Because we did not know what we had in Derrick Jones Jr.
Yeah.
PJ Washington obviously was not on the team yet. So it was like Omax might sneak into the rotation by March.
Well, we also thought that the Mavs were like a non-playoff team because they were.
Yeah. My God. What a difference a year makes.
They made the finals.
That's insane. It really is kind of insane, all things considered.
There you go. That's our thoughts about the Mavs Summer League team. That's our thoughts about Luka and what the next steps for him. Go check out Slightly Biased.
Wait.
Oh, say the thing.
Well, one more thing.
Correct.
Did you see the ESPN top 100 athletes of the 2000s list? We have two Dallas Mavericks reps.
I did not. Of the 2000s?
Actually, technically 3.
Of the 2000s, like starting
2000.
2000 to now. So Dirk's got to be on there and Luka's got to be on there.
No Luka.
What?
Nash. And Kidd.
Dirk is not on there?
No, Dirk is on there.
Oh, I was like, what? What?
Dirk was number 41. Cute enough.
Well, Kidd is on there because of the Nets.
Right. Kidd is on. I was a little bit surprised to see Kidd. No Kevin Garnett. So
Dirk is 41 on the list?
Dirk is 41. And it's heavy hitters. Like Dirk's ahead of Manny Pacquiao.
How do you even sit down and figure that one out?
I don't know. My fellow football fans will have to tell me that the Brazilian Ronaldo, who somebody in my chat was telling me is the best soccer player of all time. Dirk's ahead of him.
Let's go. They're
no
right
Kevin
about that.
Garnett.
That's surprising.
That is
of the 2000s.
Yeah, unless he's in the top 25, which would be.
He never won MVP. He won the title as like the tied for best player.
Yeah.
And Dirk won as the best player. So
Giannis, Jokic, and KD all ahead of Dirk. I didn't have any problems with those three.
No. That's sad, but no.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Get KD.
Just thought it was crazy. I know that's just like KD's rep is in the mud, but I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I know he's a great player. I get it, but Dirk would never. Dirk would never.
No, I know they're just so different. Those two.
Go to the Warriors after he could have. He had the opportunity to do that, did not.
But I was doing the math in my head, and they think Dirk was a top 10 player of the 2000s, of the 2000 onward.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm assuming Kobe, Shaq, Tim, Duncan, Steph, and LeBron are the only ones left.
Okay, we'll take it. 41. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Love it.
That's right.
Go.
Take it with you. Go check out Slightly Biased on the Great Slightly Biased YouTube channel. We'll be back there will not be a Monday show, but I will be back with Dana Larson tomorrow talking about the things that players need to prove the most. Peace out.